Good morning, everybody. This is Tracing Roots Telling Tales Tuesdays, Genealogy with Donna. This is episode 65, The Power of One Photograph. Do you have a photograph of your mother and father when they were kids? Do you have a photograph of your grandparents when they were just married or when they were children? Are you fortunate enough to have seen a picture or knew your great-grandparents? The power of one photo. It gives you a visual history. Reading photos are like reading documents. Have you looked at a photo? In Ancestry, we have that quite a bit. Somebody doesn't know when the photo was taken. It happened just recently. And it looked like, because of the clothes the little boy had on, that it was late 40s, early 50s. Probably not past 53. Maybe 48 to 53, somewhere in there. And he was probably about 2 years old, maybe 18 months old. But yes, very powerful. Keeping in mind that photos weren't invented until the 1800s. Any photo that you had prior to us having having cameras on our cell phones, having a camera was very expensive when they were, in the early 1900s. So if the family might not have had a camera, but somebody had a camera, Uncle Fred or Aunt Sally, and they would bring it to the family functions, and people would get copies, perhaps, of the photographs. A photo contains more information than most people realize. Every image captures the clothing, the hairstyles, the objects, the locations, and relationships that help place people in time and context. Clothing can help date a photograph. That is very, very true. It's amazing how well you can pinpoint the years. Fashion trends change quickly. Sleeve styles, collars, hats, hairstyles obviously narrow down a date range within a few years. Have you seen photographs from the 20s? The flapper era. Women might have bobbed hair. They might be wearing lipstick. They might have the coats that wrapped around with the high collars. If they were very lucky, and it might be made of fur. The hairstyle in the 40s is different than the hairstyles from the 1910s. You study the background carefully. Is there a house, or a farm, or a car? What's the business sign say? Or perhaps the church may provide a location location clues that can help people identify and places. I have a picture of my grandfather's boyhood home. I had seen a photo of that, and I was able to go to that location. I was not able to tour the house, unfortunately. But I was able to go to that location and take a picture. That location still exists. The house does not. Someone bought the property and demolished the house and put on townhouses. So it was important, and I'm so fortunate to have had that picture, because I've never found any of those pictures in anything that my grandfather had. My grandmother, the same way. I don't have any pictures of her as a young girl. There was one photograph that had been taken, and she was probably in her 40s, maybe. She had a twin sister. I have seen a picture of her. Unfortunately, I can't find those pictures. They were taken by one of my sisters, and that when I asked to see them so I could take a photo of them, she no longer had them. She wasn't sure what had happened to them, unfortunately. Body language tells stories. Who stands next to whom? Do they have their arms around them? Are they a defiant teenager and their arms are crossed? Who wants to be there? Who appears confident? Who seems distant? Who's dressed like the others? I have several pictures of my sisters and my grandmother was quite a seamstress. So she would make us matching dresses. We had matching dresses for Easter. We had matching robes for Christmas. So that was something that was happening in the 50s. and that was kind of interesting. Who seems distant? While not proof, these observations can provide insight into family relationships. Preserve and label the photos now. If they haven't been, please do so. Future generations won't know who these people are unless somebody records the names, the dates, and the stories today. I can tell you from my own experience that I have gone through boxes of photographs. We have had photograph parties where Mike's side of the family, we've got a box of unlabeled photographs. Now, in some instances, it's easy to pick it out. Mom, dad, cousin, uncle, aunt, family friend, etc. In others, it's like, who are these people? My mother the same way. I had a box of photos for her, and I had no clue. I even had her best friend come over and try and help identify the photos. And it was just us three girls and Trudy, and if Trudy didn't know them, then I had no clue who they were. Trudy had been her best friend from, young, maybe 18. I don't even remember how they met each other. I think they worked at a bank together. And so Trudy, knew my mother through the rest of her life. But there were some photos there that my mother didn't have a clue, or Trudy didn't have a clue. And my mother hadn't written on them. I mean, why would we want to write on what the year is? Now, one of the things that happened, doesn't happen now because you don't have film developed, but you would take a roll of film in and have it developed, and it would have the year of the developing on the margin, on the little white margin of the photo itself. So in some instances, you can put, 1953, 1956, 1961. I have those, so I know what those were. But I was also in the photograph, so I pretty much could guess when it was. How old was I in that photo, and what was the occasion? Rarely did you take a photo just to take a photo. You had to have an occasion. Was it a birthday, holiday? Was it summertime and the kids were out of school, so you wanted to take a picture of the playground, or on a picnic, or at a campground when you were taking a vacation? So those kind of things. Now, there are other types, and there are family members that are fortunate enough to have this, naturalized photos. We have one cousin who has a picture of her father. We have another cousin that has a picture of her mother. They didn't always take the naturalized photos, but when those came into existence, that's, goodness sakes, that's invaluable. That's priceless. Another cousin has a protest picture from a newspaper of her mom, or her grandmother, I guess it was, where she was protesting women's rights, suffragettes. My mother, I have a picture of my mother. I believe she's about 8 to 10, in her front yard in San Gabriel, and I have a picture of her. Do I have any pictures of her prior to that? No, I do not. Where are they? I have no clue. I can guess that my cousin Rick may have them in his father's stuff in some storage somewhere, shoved in the back of somewhere. I hope if something ever happens, or if he decides that he wants to organize the storage unit, though I volunteered twice, he said, no, that's not something you want to go into. I said, oh, do you need, bait bomb for all the critters that might be there? He goes, I don't know, but we're not going there. Like, okay, but I want those pictures. So come hell or high water, I want to see those pictures. I'm not asking you to give me the pictures. I'm merely asking you to see them so that I can take a picture of the picture. And goodness sakes, pictures are invaluable. What do you think? Are we taking so many pictures these days? The pictures these days will have no value 100 years from now? Ponder that one. Anyway, that's my episode 65 for you. I hope that gives you some food for thought, and perhaps you'll get into that box of photos that you have been avoiding to just, cursory go through them. Pick out the ones that you know who they are and write not in pen, or put a little sticky note on the back so you don't get through the photo. to write down who it is, where you think, what you think the year is. And we can go from there. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll see if I can answer them. Otherwise, have a great week, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.